my last question is, what motivates you?
That's a great question. I mean, I think again kind of goes back to like knowing that this is for the greater good, right? Mm-hmm. Like I'm doing this because there wasn't spaces for women, minority women, Black women, and I'm curating and creating that space, and making sure our voices are heard. So I think that's what is motivating. Letting people know, like, hey, she built this for us, and now I can go do something. And we were even talking about like the younger generation, like, oh, she's done this, maybe I could do that. Right. Or this. And so I think that's super motivating because we didn't have those avenues.
No.
We didn't even have social media. We didn't have a lot of that, when I was coming up. And so I think that's the motivation, is realizing the power of yourself, the power of your influence. Man, I say that all the time. Yeah. Everybody is an influencer.
Yep.
And so you influence your wife, you influence your friends, your mom might influence you. Mm-hmm. So I think it's so important that people realize, that's my motivation, is realizing, like, helping people realize that, hey, we are important and there's a space for us.
For sure. Yo, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Armand Lindsay, coming back again with another great episode of Big Boss Talk, the podcast. Listen, it's no other than another top tier guest. I stand on that. I think anybody that comes on this podcast, blesses the screen, is a top tier guest, and they are excelling and doing phenomenal in their career path. So let me get into my guest. From Lincoln, Nebraska. All right, so we got Tausha Sanders, age 32, career/job. She's an entrepreneur, college/degree. She has a Bachelors of Arts in Fashion Marketing, years in the profession 10. So she's a decade in and has a lot of experience, a lot of, success, a lot of mistakes, a lot of failures. So she can hit on everything because she just has so much, so much experience in what she's doing. And so we're super excited to have you. Tausha, say what's up to the podcast.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be on. I love talking all things entrepreneurship, shoes, life. So I'm really excited to talk with you.
That's dope. Well, listen, as you can see the background, I'm a little sneakerhead, not big like you and Melissa, but I'm in the game a little bit. I'm in the game. Put me in the game, coach.
Yes.
And so that's pretty cool. But we can't move forward until we get into two truths and a lie. Okay, so I need good 3 statements. I hope you got some solid ones because I'm gonna try to catch this lie. Okay.
Okay. I've worn glasses my entire life.
Okay.
I've never done any drug besides alcohol, and I've lived in New York.
New York. Okay. The last one I can believe is true. I know Melissa did a stint in New York, so I don't know if that's how y'all met, anything like that. I want to believe that New York is true. You wore glasses your whole life. Maybe, I don't know, you might have needed glasses your whole life, but wearing glasses, I don't know, because I've needed glasses all my life, but I definitely had contacts at one time, and then I got tired of digging in my eye, so I had to switch it up to glasses. And then the second one, what was the...
I've never done any drug in my entire life besides liquor. Some people consider that liquor, so...
Okay, got it. I think that's...
And oh my God, I think I did 2 lies, but we're here.
You did?
So it's 2 lies and a truth.
Oh my God.
So just name the truth.
So I'm gonna just name the truth. Okay, I think I know the truth is you lived in New York. I'm gonna say the other 2 are lies. Is that right?
That's wrong.
Oh.
I know. Isn't that crazy? I've never lived in New York. Never wished to. No shade. I lived in Boston, Massachusetts for a little bit.
Okay.
But no, the other ones are, the truth is I've never done a drug in my life.
Okay.
Never.
Okay.
And the glasses I didn't get glasses till I was 27. So.
Okay. Got you.
So I kind of did it wrong.
That's crazy. You got me. So, see, sometimes people come in and they change the game, the rules, and it's all
I know.
good. You got to go with the flow. You got to go with the flow.
I love it. We go with the flow. I
Yeah.
like this, but it was still good. You still. I mean, I still got shoes.
You
So
did. You
yeah.
did. You did. Okay, cool. So Nebraska. So you would never want to live in New York, New York?
No, I'm not about that life. I'm really about space. Driving my own car. Listen, I love visiting New York. I love New York people.
Yeah.
Some of my good friends are from New York, but man, I don't know how they do it.
Okay.
I could never.
So I've never been to New York, and I've heard good things. I've heard bad things. I've heard bad things is like sometimes it's dirty. It's super fast. Fast paced things of that nature. But then the good thing is like the people. Obviously the people that come from New York, it's a different type of hustle and bustle about them.
Totally.
That you can.
New York has the hustlers for sure, and I mean, again, sneaker cultures. Hip hop. It's a great place. I just will keep on visiting.
Okay, got it. Keep on visiting. So obviously, I didn't realize I scheduled the show for 8 p.m. Eastern, but then I was going through doing my little research, and I'm like, she's here in Houston. So like, I'm in Houston as well. Yeah. So like, I'm in Houston, which is crazy. I'm glad I'm actually able to sit down and connect because hopefully with the events and things that you guys do, I would love to just if guys are included, I would love to pop in and just check it out because I'm a fan.
Yeah, absolutely. Do
you go to any of the racks sneaker vintage flea markets at all? Like
I've been to I don't go to a lot.
Okay.
I don't go to a lot of sneaker shows anymore.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm just like over them. I've been in it so long, so it's like but I haven't been to one in a very long time, probably 2-3 years. But I still like going to events.
Okay.
And I do love vintage. I sometimes go to the ones that are at 8th Wonder.
Yep, 8th Wonder.
Downtown. I was just at Hip Hop Vintage Flea Market 2 weekends ago. So I still love to pop in and pop out, but I don't go as often as I probably used to.
Okay, got you. Yeah, so I'm from South Carolina, but we moved. I lived in Austin for a year and a half. Then I moved from Austin to Houston. And when I got to Houston, I found out about the vintage flea markets, and I'm like, it's a culture that I was like, I didn't know I needed until I was like, I'm there. So like, I love the graphic tees. I like they sell the shoes there. It's just a whole vibe out there, which I enjoy. So I had to ask about that, but definitely want to get on your radar as far as like anytime you guys throw events. If I just want to come check them out and support any way possible.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm glad you said if the men come, because we do only do a few events where it allowed the men to come, because mainly it's for women, but we do have one this Saturday. So if you are free, it's our annual sneaker charity ball.
Okay.
This is year 4, and it's great. It's a party for a purpose. Come in formal attire and kicks.
That's crazy.
And so if you're free, I'd be happy to extend the invite and a ticket. I'd love to have you so you can kind of really experience a HerGRAILS event, especially one of our few co-ed ones.
Right. And what's crazy is I would love to go. I actually am going back home this weekend, so I won't be able to make this one. But in the future, I promise, like if there's an invite out there, I would love to come and just kind of kick it and see what it's about. And really understand the hard work that you put into what you have going on. So, but that's cool. We got to chop it up. Glad to see another Houstonian on the screen. So I do have a couple of questions I do want to ask before we get started. So I have, obviously this might be a little cliche, but what's your favorite shoe? Like out of all the shoes, like what is your favorite shoe?
Yeah, and a lot of people, I say this always, it's always been this way. It's an Air Max 90 infrared is my number one favorite shoe to this day, for the last decade. So I think 90s are such a classic silhouette.
Yep.
And you could dress it up, dress it down. It's comfortable. Infrared, I also think, is such a versatile colorway.
Yeah.
You can wear it with so many different colors. And so one of my favorite shoes, I still have my, 2010 pair. and it's beat. And so I re-upped when they re-released, I don't know, a couple years ago, got two, but I was a little disappointed. The infrared was a little different.
Different color.
It was a little more orange.
Yep.
But nonetheless, that's my favorite shoe of all time.
Man, you know what's crazy? I talk to sneakerheads all the time. And I don't know, like for me, I'm like, a Jordan has to be somebody's favorite sneaker. But it's nobody's like the people that I talk to. I'm like, I talked to Melissa. She was like, nope. It's the I forgot what she was saying. I don't know. She mentioned like Air Force Ones, like the Air Force Ones is like might be her favorite. Yeah. And then you told me the infrared, the Air Maxes, and I talked to somebody else. It's the dang, it's some dunks. And I'm just like, what about the Jordans? So do you? I mean, obviously you like Jordans, but you know, it's just not. Why is it not up there for you?
Well, I didn't grow up on Jordans, and probably because Nebraska, we had very few outlets for it. So, you know, obviously I grew up on the basketball player Michael Jordan all day.
Yep.
You know, my dad was a fan. Come on, I'm a 90s kid. You couldn't get away from it. But I think as the shoe, I grew up with not Jordans. Okay. And so I didn't really get my Jordan until college, my first Jordan.
Okay.
And then also, I mean, I think Jordan's a great shoe. They have obviously tons of numbers that I love.
Yeah.
But I don't know if, as we're going to say, favorite go-to I could wear every day, it wouldn't be a Jordan. Okay. But I love Jordans most of my collection now is Jordans. I think they've gotten a lot better with the women's shoes as well. And that's also what helps. Okay. You know, back then they weren't really producing anything for women in women's sizing. Yeah. And then so, you know, now we have shoes Jordans specifically for women. So it helps a little bit with the collection. We're like, yes, you're listening. You have something for me. So I think that could also play a part in why, you know, us old heads probably might not have that as like old head females. Let's be clear, because I think a lot of males, their favorite shoe is a Jordan.
Would be a Jordan. Gotcha.
Yeah, but I mean, again, we didn't have that privilege of some women's feet are so small they can't fit into and if they didn't come out with kids, you know, they only came out with men's, they can't fit it.
Yeah, I think over the years Jordan has done a lot better with the co-ed shoes coming out with a pair for the men and the women and just all the different colorways. Like, I mean, sometimes the women's shoes are harder than the men's shoes. Like, it was some dunks that just released like the cosmic oranges or something like that. And I'm like, can I get a pair? Like, nope. Doesn't fit your shoe size foot, buddy. But that's cool. I will talk about you. I guess you brought a story in mind. My first pair, because you said your first pair of Jordan was like in college or something like that. My first pair of Jordans, I've always got hand-me-downs from homies. Okay. So like, I always wanted to get my shoes. I just never had the money to go buy them. So like my friends would have them and they'll get tired of them. Nothing wrong with them. They just always getting pairs of shoes. So I'm like, let me get those. And I wear size 13. My friends, they might be like 11, 12.
Oh, no.
So I'm like trying to just squeeze my foot in these 12s, you know. I got like my feet hurting. We going out. I'm like, God, but you know, I can't say nothing because it's like, you know, it's the Jordans. You got to wear them.
Yeah.
But you know, I just used to borrow hand-me-downs. And then I bought my first pair of my own when I was in 11th grade or something like that. 11th grade, 12th grade. It was in 11. It was the what was it? I think it was my first pair was the Space Jams.
Very.
So I was
great first pair.
Yeah, I was super excited. I was like, ooh, I got the Space Jams, and that was the first time I spent my actual real money on Jordans. Before then, I had probably about 9 pair that just was given to me by friends. So that's pretty cool. But what is your favorite Jordan number? So like the number shoe, like what's your favorite?
That's tough. I mean, I actually do like 3 and 4s. Mm-hmm. I think 3 or 4s are better. I'm actually a true low top girl.
Okay.
I love high tops, but if I had to pick if it came down to it, I'm a low top girl. That's why I love 1s too, but I'm really like a low top kid. Yeah. So 3 and 4s, I love it. I love, you know, cement 3s are one of my favorite Jordans. And you know, the Alma Mamieres that just came out a couple years ago, or last year. I think those are great. Yeah. And so, you know, it's a women's shoe and it's such a great, you know, story behind it. So I love a 3 and a 4.
I got you. I like threes as well. I didn't know how comfortable threes were until I got my first pair of threes. Like they're super more comfortable than a lot of the high tops. Like I know a lot of people go up about ones, but ones can sometimes be a little bit like because they flat, so I don't have a flat foot sometimes, and so I know those can be a little bit discomforting. But I do love the threes, and I'm glad you said like 3 and a 4. Like those are super comfortable. Elite.
I think they're getting better. Threes did not used to be comfortable. I think the Alma Manier threes are very comfortable. And I was like, yes. But I think, I don't know if this is like a thing, but I think women's Jordans are way more comfortable than men's. And so I don't know if they're putting a little extra cushion for us. But the Alma Manier threes are very much more comfortable than any, like the old, I had some cement threes from '08, and them things had my feet barking. And so, I mean, I don't know, they got a little bit better. And the fours are not, you can't wear fours all day. That's like a 3-hour max. Don't wear them all day. So, but it's still a cute shoe. It's just 4-hour max.
You got to know where you're going.
3-4 hours.
You got to know where you're going. What your day looking like. You got to plan ahead.
You got to plan ahead.
What's and I'm gonna slow it down just a little bit. So, what's the best advice ever given to you?
Ooh, man, there's so much, right? I think this question is so funny because it's like, I mean, there's so much great advice I've ever gotten. I'll say one professionally and one, I guess, personally, like relationship and like day-to-day life. Professionally, when I changed the name to HerGRAILS, somebody was like, do you want your legacy to be attached to anybody else? And that was during the pandemic when we changed the name. And I think that's super important because the pandemic taught us a lot about having ownership, right? You know, people were freaking out because we work for everybody and we didn't have anything on our own. And so I think that's important. You know, legacy to me, whether I be, you know, worldwide, but again, like me and what I leave on this earth is important and it's mine. HerGRAILS is mine. No one can take that away from me. I built it from the ground up. So I guess it was more of a statement than advice, but it was like a question. It was like, do you want your legacy to be attached to anybody else?
Got it. That makes sense.
And then personally, man, this is one of the hardest lessons I've ever had to learn is that you cannot tell people how to feel. And people are entitled to feel how they want to feel. So I like to see that snippet because even in business that works, right? Like if somebody was like, this is how I feel. You cannot take that away, whether you think they're wrong or right.
Right. I agree. I think I have this conversation all the time with my wife. She gets on me all the time, and she says I'm like, gaslighting is this new word that I'm just like, you know, I understand it. I hate hearing it. Like I hate hearing that I could be gaslighting when know, but when you said okay. You can't tell people how to feel. And so sometimes you have to, you know, definitely in relationships, you know, whatever the case may be, friendships, boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever. You have to, once something happens, you have to, I guess, you got to know the person. You got to take their feelings and understand where is it coming from. You know?
Absolutely.
And me being a Pisces that I am, I'm a little bit more emotional than most, you know, or like sometimes I may take things the wrong way. You know, and I'm trying to get better at understanding. How
that's all we could do.
Yeah. So that's good advice. I appreciate that. And then my last question is, what motivates you?
That's a great question. I mean, I think again, kind of goes back to like knowing that this is for the greater good, right? Like I'm doing this because there wasn't spaces for women, minority women, Black women, and I'm curating and creating that space and, you know, making sure our voices are heard. So I think that's what is motivating, you know, letting people know like, hey, she built this for us and now I can go do something. And, you know, we were even talking about like the younger generation, like, oh, she's done this. Maybe I could do that or this. And so I think that's super motivating because we didn't have those avenues.
No.
We didn't even have social media. We didn't have a lot of that, you know, when I was coming up. And so I think that's the motivation is realizing the power of yourself, the power of your influence. Man, I say that all the time. Yeah. Everybody is an influencer.
Yep.
And so you influence your wife, you influence your friends, your mom might influence you. So I think it's so important that people realize that's my motivation, is realizing, like, helping people realize that, hey, we are important and there's a space for us.
For sure, for sure. I think that's super, super, super important to understand. Like, no matter how big or small, everyone has an impact. And I think, when you were talking about just having the knowing your capacity of the legacy, right? I think a lot of people think like their legacy should be Jay-Z, Oprah, on
Right.
Oprah level, and there's nothing wrong with it trying to reach that. But I do feel like there's more power and impact than your web of people, your community, your inner circle and the niche of people that you kind of subscribe to. Like, that's super important as well too. Like, it may not ring bells across the whole world, but just to know that you did an impact in your community, and people know who you were, what you stood for, and like you said, legacy. I think that's the super dope part about just that grind, that hard work, and what you're doing. So that's pretty cool.
Definitely. I think, and then bringing, like you said, like your people around you, bringing them with you. You know what I mean? Like, I'm nothing if I'm at the top and no one's with me. What is the good?
It's no good. It's
right.
No good.
So bringing them with me. If I'm climbing a ladder to the top, you coming with me, and I think that's so important. Putting we see these memes all the time, but saying your friends' names in rooms that they are for opportunities. That's true. That's very important.
It is.
That is very important because everybody could eat. Yeah. There's a big plate. You can't eat off my plate, but we can all eat.
It's a big
enough meal. Yeah.
There's all pieces of the pie that we can all get a part of.
Absolutely.
You gotta be willing to put in that work, and once the opportunity knocks, you have to go into the door. But Tausha, I always like to go back, and I want to talk about, what did you see yourself being as a young girl? I know I read an article where you grew up more on the tomboyish side, your brothers, being around your, the male figures in your life. But just tell me, what did you want to be growing up, in Nebraska? Like, what was that like? Because I've never been to Nebraska. It seems cold. Like, I don't know. Just by hearing the name, I'm like, oh, it's probably cold up there. But
it is.
Let me know. It is.
It is cold. I'm not gonna lie. No, yeah. I mean, growing up, you could have told me I was gonna be Lisa Leslie. I thought I was really about to play sports, basketball for life, and be at the Olympics.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That was definitely like growing up, maybe till high school, and then I was like, okay, I'm tired of these sports. I'm tired. Because you play so every day.
Yep.
I got burnt out, and so I think after high school, I was like, okay, I want to work in fashion. To this day, I thought I was going to be, like, at this age, I thought I was going to be working for a magazine. Yeah. I love magazines, whether it be Cosmopolitan, Vogue, whatever. So those are probably two growing up, Nebraska. I always knew I was getting out. Listen, I love Nebraska. Go Big Red.
Yeah.
I still go back. My family lives there. I think, it's grown a lot from when I was there living. I was there almost 19 years. And so I think it's a great place to raise a family. Cost of living's low. It just wasn't for me after. So yeah, I really thought I was going to be, either playing in sports or working for a magazine. I think later after college as well, though, I knew I wanted to be in streetwear. Okay. And so that was always like, after college, I was during college, I was like, that's it. I don't want to work for, even if I'm, at a magazine, I want to make sure it's about, streetwear and sneakers.
Got it. Okay. So obviously we thought we was going to be Lisa Leslie. We got burnt out a little bit. I always thought I was going to be Shaq, but I stopped growing and, I just was like, it is what it is at this point.
It is what it is.
I'm 6'2", 6'3"-ish, but I was shooting for 7 foot and trying to jump out the gym, and I couldn't hit neither one. So I was like, all right, well, we just gonna play football. Big frame, big body. So we just gonna stick with that. But okay, Lisa Leslie. Then we wanted to obviously be a stylist. We thought it was gonna be with a magazine. So a real Devil's Wears Prada type thing. Okay, got it. So I guess we went to college. Obviously, we went to college, got our Bachelors of Art in Fashion and Marketing. What college did you attend, and what was your experience like while you were there?
Yeah, so I went to the Art Institutes in Kansas City.
Okay.
I was one of the first classes because they just opened it and then just had the fashion marketing program. And again, I think I was just trying to get out of Nebraska. Debated on going to KU to be a Jayhawk, and I think it was just too expensive for me at the time. And so the Art Institute was, honestly, I hear a bad rep all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was because our class was so great and my professors were awesome, but I had the best experience.
Yep.
Learned literally everything you need to know about my industry there. Awesome. And again, it's for YouTube University, and we could have just Googled it. Definitely learned a ton. I think college is a lot more than just your education. The relationships I built, and the experience, of being an adult, having to go to class, on my own without my mom waking me up. Like, I think that really molded me into the woman and the career woman that I am today. I had the best experience at college. Looking back now, especially even being in Houston, I'm like, dang, I should have went to HBCU. I should have, because that's even a higher college experience.
Yeah.
Right? Like, Nebraska, I still got the college experience while I was in Nebraska because I lived there, going to the football games, woo, woo, woo. I think that's also an experience. Yep. I think everybody should experience going to their schools, sporting events, freshman class orientation. Like, I loved it. I loved everything about college. I know it's not for everybody. And obviously it got hard sometimes. Like, I mean, you still have to pass your classes, but especially I was blessed enough to do it in an industry that I knew I was going to be in. And sometimes that's tough because people switch. So it was fun for me. College was fun. All the projects were all about sneakers and streetwear. I've done clothing lines, tech backs, built my own brand, learned how to do a business plan from the jump. So I learned vital information that taught me what I probably still use to this day.
Man, that's awesome. I think you hit on HBCU, and I said that's probably my only. I don't really do have regrets, but that would be one I would do over if I could go back. I would definitely do it again just to kind of see what that Black utopia is like, and just understand like the pride that when you talk to people that went to HBCUs, big, small, it doesn't matter, the pride that they have.
The pride. They love it.
Yeah, it's like it's contagious, and it's like, I want to be a part of that. I want to kind of, scream, Aggie pride or whatever. A2, the real, all that good stuff. So I think that's pretty dope. I think I'm in line with you as far as like if I could go back, I would do that differently. You talked about, learning everything you need to know in your college experience, like starting from a business plan, understanding streetwear. Like what's, what is it about, having a business plan that's so important, right? Like what makes having a business plan so important? Could you give us just maybe one thing that you use right now, day to day, that you learned from, college?
No, business plans are everything, especially if you want to start a business.
Yeah.
So learning that at 19, 20 was huge. It's literally the blueprint to your 5-10 year plan, whatever, even year plan. And so, HerGRAILS is growing to be much, much more than just sneaker experiences for women in Houston.
Yeah.
We're trying to travel out of state. We've done, campaign work, consultation. And so it's starting to grow into another entity. So that's a whole nother business, right? It's not just, I have one part of HerGRAILS, but then there's this other side of the business. And if you want to invest money, if you want somebody to invest money in you, you need to have a plan, and it needs to be on paper. And it can't just be, you can't fake the funk with that. You'd be like, this is my projections. This is how much I'm going to make. This is how I'm going to make that money. This is my cash flow, or expected. Business plans are everything. And I think that, learning how to make one was, people aren't taught that. Again, I went to school for that. You could probably find somebody, a mentor to teach you. You probably don't need a college education to do it.
I was going to ask
But
you.
I mean, business plans are if you want to start a business, you have to have a business plan.
Got to.
It's point blank, right?
I had to ask only because I got, people that, they listen, and I think we like the idea of owning something, but I think what I've
Right.
learned the most as far as like success is like having your paperwork right first. Like
Man.
having your paperwork right. Like if you got like a a logo, a slogan,
Yep.
is that trademark? Do you have
Yep.
can anybody just take that? Can you send
Yep.
deceased letters for people to stop doing that? Just all different types of things as far as like the background work. Like I think that's the
Right.
most important. Like the action, you gotta have the action, and you gotta do. But for what I hear, a lot of successful people say is like, is your paperwork right? Is your
Yes.
And I hear a lot of that with music. So like, they
Oh,
always
yeah.
ask like, is everything up to date on the back end? So and right now we're trying to make sure that we have our trademark and everything done the
Absolutely.
right way. So I'm glad you hit on the business plan and things of that.
No, yeah.
How long did it take you to actually create your business plan? Was it like something that took you weeks? Like give people an
Yeah.
idea, because we give advice, but then we don't really give the actionables behind it. Like I
Right.
like when people I hate when people tell me like I'm trying to think of an example. They just be like, "Oh, you got to put the 10,000 hours in." Okay, well, what
Right.
does that look like for you?
Right.
Like, what did you do?
Right.
Like, how long you in the gym? How long were you doing this?
Right.
Like, because you could get
Yeah.
lost. You just say 10,000 hours. I could spend 10,000 hours on nonsense that I think is going
Right.
to get me where I need to be. So,
Right.
what about you? How long did that business plan take you?
That's a great question, and this might sound hypocritical. So my business didn't start out as a business. This was more of like a side hobby.
Yep.
HerGRAILS is not what I had thought it was for. We celebrated 4 years in February. So again, a little hypocritical. I didn't have a business plan because I didn't want it to be. I truly did not know this was going to be my full-time job 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And so I did it a little different. And so that's why now, again, it's growing to different avenues. So now, again, I'm meeting with financial advisors. I have mentors. Again, people that have been through it.
Yeah.
Not these Instagram facades. No.
Yeah.
Physical people who it's been proven. Jennifer Ford from Premium Goods, who is one of the only Black female-owned sneaker stores in the country. Been in business 18 years. I look up to her because she's been it. She's been there, done it, got the t-shirt, and she's a Black woman.
Yeah.
So I think that is helping me with my business plan. My financial advisor is absolutely helping me with anything in the future. He's like, okay, well, this is how much your company is worth. Mm-hmm. This is how much, if you were to sell it, stuff like that. Yeah. So again, I kind of did it a little bit backwards. Absolutely do not recommend. I've learned a lot of I've had a lot of mistakes and took a lot of L's. Let's be very clear.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you said is like important, because it's like, I can talk about it, but can I tell you what happened in between? From then and now? Like, we're doing good now, but some stuff was going down in between. Okay. And it wasn't always roses. And it wasn't always fun. We wasn't always having a good time.
It wasn't always peaches and cream.
Right. And so I think that's super important, because people be seeing, oh, you hot now, you working with Jordan. Yeah, this is a decade later.
Yeah.
10 years.
10 years. You got
and then 4 years with my business. I've been in this industry 10 years.
Yeah.
I've interned for free. Like, please. I think people really forget that, especially the younger generation. Like, please don't think I went to CEO full time in a year or whatever.
Overnight.
It was years of experience, years of college experience, all that. So I think that you hit it nail on the head. I'm a super big advocate on protecting your intellectual property and your business. Trademark, because people be like, I have an LLC, and what is that? That's not going to protect you. That's nothing. Anybody can get an LLC. That's nothing.
Yep.
Trademark is important, especially if you have something popping, you think somebody's going to steal it.
Yeah.
But trademarks aren't easy. That's another thing they don't talk about. It took me about a year to get my trademark.
Yeah, they not easy. They not cheap either. Like,
they not cheap.
So like, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I mean, people tell you, have your paperwork in a row, but you gotta have some money to spend on that too. Like, it's an investment. Like,
it's an investment.
You gotta want your dream to come true. Like, and the only person that can go get it and I guess do the proper things is you.
Is you.
And you gotta, and that's why, like you said, I think the in-between, people don't see the in-between, and they just get lost in, fairyland. Like, no, like, it takes years, like 10 years, you know what I mean? Like,
Years. And we're still growing. And again, I still make mistakes. I make mistakes all the time. Yep. And again, because I'm a new entrepreneur. Nobody teaches us this.
No.
I have teachers now. I just made a mistake the other day.
Yep.
Like money mistakes. So, it's not like
the ones that hit a little
right.
different.
And so, and it happens. I think especially in business, there's risk and there's reward. And that's especially these billionaires will tell you that.
Yep.
That's what I think is important. People teaching us that.
Yeah.
It's okay to, you lost money on this event or you lost money on this.
Mm-hmm.
What's the lesson learned and how are we going to get it back? How are we going to recoup?
Yeah.
And, because anybody would be lying if they said they never lost money, never took an L, never had, legal issues, whatever. I've been sent to cease and desist. Absolutely. For my own stuff. So listen,
man, entrepreneurship is all about L's. Like,
yes, and that's okay. I think people think that it's not. Like, no, it's okay to have some L's. Those are my biggest lessons, and now I can tell you what not to do or what to do. And so, absolutely, man. I think again, protecting what's rightfully yours is very important, but it's also very expensive and it's lengthy. Yep. Make sure you could try it on your own. I never was a proponent in recommending. I hired an attorney to do my trademark.
Yeah.
I hired somebody to do my LLC. I hired anything, accounting, absolutely not. I hired somebody, a CPA. I think we have that struggle, like we could do it ourselves to save money. In the end, you're probably going to be saving money because you're doing it right. Because they can decline your trademark.
Yeah.
And then you got to refile. It's money wasted and, amend it. So I think people don't know that either. So absolutely. I think that, research, and just because you think you have a cool brand name doesn't mean somebody already thought about it.
Right. There's so many people that probably got your name, whatever. Like, like I said, we in the process now trying to get it done. So I'm nervous, but I'm not nervous. I'm like, if it's for me, it'll be for me. If we got to do something different, then we'll do something different. But I think it's important that at least we trying to get on the right track.
Absolutely. And I can send you who did my trademark.
Yeah.
And I think he was great and not as expensive as some of the other ones. But yeah, I think again that's the least we could do for each other. Let me send you who did mine. And then, like you said, to piggyback really quick on what you said, you were like, the work. Okay, make no mistake. I think people really think that it's all like I'm just out here wearing kicks. And no, it's a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing is like people have great ideas. Mm-hmm. This is what separates you from anybody. People have great ideas, but do you have the execution to execute those ideas?
Yeah.
That's number one. What is your steps to execute that idea? I have this great idea. And if you don't do it, somebody else will.
Yep.
And they will. And that's we've had how many stories of that?
Yeah, it's a lot of stories. I think you hit it. Like I said, we go on the same page. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
We on the same page. But I think the execution is super important, man. I think people get caught up in and this is me. Like I'm a doer. Like do. I don't really focus on, which I should, but the small details, right? The small details that make it. You got something good, but if you take care of the small details, it can be great. I can go. I'm an action doer. Like if I got an idea, we're gonna do it. I'm like, it's a couple of steps in the back where I'm like, in the future, I'm gonna pause. I'm like, dang, I didn't do that right. Let me go back, fix that, then come back. So I think a lot of people though get caught up in the thinking and they get that paralysis of like, how do I want to do it? And then a lot of people are scared of what other people may think too. Like, I was listening to a podcast last night and they were like, people are their own issue. Like
worst enemy.
Like we stop ourselves from doing what we want to do because of what, this isn't right. This isn't, not a good time and it's not perfect. Like, listen, if you don't do it, it's never gonna be.
It'll never be the perfect time.
So it's like you got to get out of that mindset, and you got to kind of just do. And I want to ask you, like, how do you hold yourself accountable, right? Because there's people, they're a doer, and they can. It's almost like going to the gym. We'll go to the gym for 2 weeks, a month, and then next thing we back at home on the couch. And we get the energy to go back. So,
we're not talking about the gym though, but
we ain't talking about the gym. But
he called me out, y'all. But that's a great question, amazing question, because especially what I've realized just a year of entrepreneurship, no one's over your shoulder. Like, did you get your work done?
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to get this? Did you get this turned in? So I'm my only accountability. And I think what changed for me is because it's the livelihood now. You know, if I don't get up and make no money, I ain't gonna have a place to live if I ain't got no money. So I think, making sure that sometimes, I work from home. I think getting out of the house to be a little more productive, knowing your strengths and weaknesses.
Knowing who you are.
I know that I can be at home and really get distracted. So let me get out the house and go work at a coffee shop where I can just knock this out.
Yeah.
Of course, I have lazy days and I'm a procrastinator sometimes, but I think, again, it's a little different. That motivation is like, okay, I don't have a check coming every 2 weeks, whether I get my work done or not.
Yeah.
It's, if I don't turn something in, I'm not getting paid, me and my business.
Right.
So it's a little more different motivator, but, holding yourself accountable is huge because nobody else can do it for you.
No.
If your business fails, that's on you.
Mm-hmm.
It's on your accountability and you. There's other factors, COVID could have played but again, I think if we're talking at the core, like in general, your business, it's on you, whether you made this mistake or did that, or didn't get up and didn't go do this.
Yeah.
So I think holding yourself accountable is everything. And, again, I don't want it to be like, oh, I get up every morning at 8:00 and do my work. No, I definitely have days where I'm like not working and kind of BSing and whatnot. So, but again, then I'm like, okay, well, I did that. Well, I have this thing due and whoop, whoop, whoop. It's like you're your own everything, coach, teacher, boss. Everything. So I'm my own boss. So I need to make sure I get my stuff done.
I think that's even more impressive, right? Because you don't have that reliable, company to give that bi-weekly paycheck. Man. It's like if you don't hunt, you don't eat. You know what I mean? So it's like you always have to.
Perfect.
Because I'm in sales, and so you always have to, being commission and things of that nature, you always have to do something that's going to feed your business every day. And I think once you get that in the mindset, like, you're not supposed to be super busy all day. I'm not, I don't think entrepreneurship, you're supposed to drain yourself for 12 hours out the day. But I do think, the level of consistency, like if you're doing something that's adding to your business every single day over a course of 100 days, 365 days, you're going to be that compound effect. Like I read the book Compound Effect all the time. Like it compounds all the time, just doing something productive for your business that's going to give you that money that you need to, make your keep, earn your living, and then also just do the best thing for the business. So I think
perfectly said. I think you said something nail on the head. Is like somebody taught me this: if you're not working on your company for 30 minutes a day, at least, then you need to go back and get a job. Yeah. And I agree. Whether that be one phone call, because again, we all need days off. So, but whether that be one phone call, one email, let me go to an event, kind of market research. So I think you said it nail on the head. Everybody needs to be working on their business every day.
Yeah.
But I also want to say this tidbit, because I think there's this, this social media influencer thing that everybody needs to be an entrepreneur. Be very, very clear. If you don't want to be an entrepreneur, you don't have to be. That is not the end goal. I think you should have ownership on something. Yep. Again, it could be a little side gig. You make t-shirts on the side. Cool. I think everyone should have a backup. Yeah. But I don't think entrepreneurship is for everybody. You can ask anyone that I've ever worked with, talked to, up until last year. I said, I'll never be an entrepreneur. I love a steady paycheck. I love security.
Yep.
And if you like your job, okay, what's the issue, baby? Retire, woo, woo, woo. So I do not think that entrepreneurship is for everybody. And who knows? Who knows? I might even have a corporate job in 5 years. Yeah. Who knows? And I'll be okay. So I just want to say that that's very important, because I think everyone's like, I'm an entrepreneur and I'm better than, no. Listen, corporate jobs are just as great. If you work at a restaurant, that's fine. Yeah. I think we like fantasize these entrepreneurs and solopreneurs, and Woo, woo, woo. You know, if anything, billionaires have several streams of income.
Yep.
I think they say it's at least 3.
Yeah, I think the minimum right now with inflation is 3. It's 7 really if you want to hit like that.
You might
mega like the millions and the billions, like you gotta have multiple. But I think you touched on that, importantly, like the fad. I think the biggest thing is like you don't have to. Everybody doesn't have to be an entrepreneur, because if everybody was an entrepreneur, then who's doing the regular stuff. You know what I mean? Like, and there's nothing wrong with being a banker. There's nothing wrong with being a custodian. Like, I was a custodian at one point. Super respect. Like, you got to treat people. You got to treat people. Everybody, just because the occupation doesn't define the importance of the person. A person is a person no matter what. So just always keep in mind, you're going to treat the CEO or you're going to treat the custodian just like you would the CEO with respect. And I think that's the most 100%. Important. So, we're going to move forward again, and we're going to talk about, so I want to talk about, because I guess, the article that I read, I saw Sneaker Summit, but then I know HerGRAILS is something that you have. Sneaker Summit, that's something different than HerGRAILS, correct?
No, that was mine as well. We changed the name. So that's what we just talked. So I used to work for Sneaker Summit. I was with them for 5 years in Houston. So that's how I have, tons of trade show and sneaker convention experience.
Okay, got it.
And event experience. We had events at NRG, 5,000 plus people. Yep. So once I left the company, I changed the name, because it would have been, it's a very long story. Maybe I'll tell it one day. But again, it wouldn't have made sense. And that's when my friend, which we can talk about, happened before, was like, do you want your legacy to be attached to somebody else for the rest of your life? Okay, got it. That makes sense. So I changed the name, got the trademark, and to this day, and even not you, like to this day, some people don't even remember what the name used to be. Yeah. Which is great, which is we're doing good. If you have good brand marketing and brand awareness, you're doing it. If they don't remember the old name, we're good. That's great. So it's HerGRAILS. Sneaker Summit was a great, we did it for about 2 years, and HerGRAILS 2 years after. So in total, that still was me. It's still 4 years. We just changed the name. Got it, for sure. If you could give me 1 second, I'm going to plug this in. I go back and edit and post, so just give me 1 second. Okay, yeah. No, you're fine. All right, perfect. So gotta get that plugged in. But so we got HerGRAILS. Obviously, that changed. Okay, so now it started in the change of the 2018, February of 2018. Got it. And so how did obviously, I guess let's talk about, how did you get with Sneaker Summit? How did you land that role? Like, how did you get into that, and just what was it all about at first? Was it still the same concept, the same purpose, or did it just change? With Sneaker Summit? Yeah, Sneaker Summit. So how did you get into Sneaker Summit? So I was after college, I interned for a company for the old heads here called Karmaloop, and that's why I was in Boston. And so I did not like Boston. So I was like, I need to go south with some heat. And, Sneaker Summit, I had been a few times previously. I think I went during, summer of 2012, or I think over 2012 and 2013, winter of 2013. And so I was like, oh, this is fun. I like this. I think it'd be cool to work for them. I'm trying to move to Houston. So just reached out to the owner. And he was like, hey, we can bring you on as social media manager, which I was doing at Karmaloop as well. And so I was their social media manager for 5 years, did the event for them. I was their event coordinator for 5 years. And then they opened the store, the physical location, and I was the store manager for 2 or so years, however long it was open. So during that time, obviously I'm at these sneaker shows, and I'm like, there's nothing for women. Yeah. I was like, there's no vendors that are for women. There's nothing our sizes. I'm like, this is crazy. Obviously, I go to these shows. I work for this show. Yeah. Why is there nothing for us? So I made it that's how Sneaker Summit became what it was. I'm like, I need to give us a platform. and a space. I need to give us a space for
Yeah.
women to come and feel comfortable and, you know, enjoy each other and talk about kicks.
Yeah.
So we, you know, did that at Sneaker Summit for the last 2 years. I was there, and, you know, I think statistically we were the show with the most females ever attended.
Okay.
And it's because we created a space for them.
Yeah.
So again, 2020, we changed the name. I left Sneaker Summit. Best decision I've ever made. And again, making sure that, you know, and that's why I think, again, that was a difficult time. That was during the pandemic. So I'm trying to be creative while we at the house, change the name, get, you know, money. I didn't have any income at that time because, you know, the world was shut down. And so, you know, I think that was hindsight. I think when I was in it, I was like, oh my God. Hindsight, I'm like, oh my God. You know, that was great. It's fine.
Yeah.
We made it through.
It.
But again, I think that I was like, and being in it is different, right? That's what's always so great. You look back and you're like, I think even the tough days now, you're like, okay, well, look how far you've come and look what you've accomplished. So we all have bad days. We all have imposter syndrome. You know, I'm like, dude, no one's going to be rocking with me in 5 years. I'm old. I'm washed, whatever. So like, listen, I go through that all the time. I'm like, who do I need to hire to replace me? Because I am washed. But yeah, no, I think it was great. But I think it's a great lesson learned.
Yeah. You
know, your employer is not your friend.
Yeah.
It's not your friend, and they are not going to be loyal to you. I don't care who they are.
Yeah.
That could be your mama.
It could be your mama.
It's a business, and that's, you know, we got to separate that business and emotional and loyalty.
Yeah.
Do not be loyal to these companies, please. I cannot say that enough.
Yeah.
Literally, they will replace. If you die tomorrow, they will replace you, and it'd be nothing. Like nothing happened.
Of course, like you got to think about that.
So that's important. And you know, I'm a very loyal person, and you know, I ride with my people and I rock with my people, and so I think, but that's important. You know, I took a lot of lessons, a lot of L's and lessons learned when changing the name.
Yeah.
And but would I go back and change? No, everything happened how it was supposed to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So we changed the name. It's HerGRAILS. Man, best decisions I've ever made. When we were in it, it probably wasn't. It was much harder than I'm talking about it now.
Yeah, it felt harder. A lot of things that happen to us in life, well, 90% of it is mostly mental. It's actually 10% of actually what happens to us. So I think, you know, to your point, you know, obviously working for a company, you know, doing the social media, doing the events, like you learned a lot. You know, that goes back to your point of, you know,
absolutely.
A lot of times, you know, people now are telling people use your corporate job for your side hustle. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
You can use the skills that you learned, the resources.
Absolutely. And money.
Yeah, the money. You can use it to fund and pump up your side baby. So I think you learned a lot, you know, within that role. Obviously there was changes that had to be made, things that you know, that birthed HerGRAILS and gave you the opportunity that you have now. So it's like hearing that story and just hearing where you are now, like it makes sense because you were doing everything then that you are doing now on your own, and so you understand the cycle and everything.
I would say, perfectly said.
Yeah, and I would just say, what, you know, what's the hard part? You know, because obviously when we talk about the good, you know, we talk about, you know, what you're doing. It's phenomenal. Like I wish I could do it. You know, I wish I could, you know, do everything and wear the multiple hats and, you know, things of that nature.
Right.
And people want to do, you know, something, you know, maybe a different idea, but something of like, I want to, you know, do what she does. But what's the hard part? What keeps you up at night about what you do?
Man, so much. That's why I'm like, don't let these people lie to you. I mean, I think, again, the good thing is I'm doing what I love, because if I didn't, I probably wouldn't, you know, I mean, again, it'd be really, really hard.
Yeah.
Or it'd be harder. I think the hard part is wearing those many hats at the beginning. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think the even harder part for me now, 4 years later, is giving up the reins a little bit. I'm not, I won't say I'm controlling or a perfectionist, but no one's going to love your baby like you.
Listen, you're an entrepreneur. You're a perfectionist now.
Right. So, you know, saying like, okay, I don't need to set everything up. I can hire somebody or let somebody do it.
Right.
So that's the hardest part for me today is like, okay, who can I hire or can I delegate some of this work? Because you can't do it all, especially at this point, I still do HerGRAILS social media. I still do my own social media. I technically do our accounting. I do QuickBooks, but I punch everything in. I have to balance it all. I plan the events in my head. I call, it's literally me. I think a lot of people really don't get that. It's me. Because I've worked with other people that have had events and they're like, okay, well, we'll hire a team. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't know. It's like shocking. I'm like, I'm that person you would hire. But for me, so I think that wearing the many hats is the hardest part as an entrepreneur because you're everything. Especially, I don't know how people be doing product, like merchandise.
Yeah.
Okay, I have grace for anybody because you're telling me you're shipping it out yourself, making the labels, getting the sizes, making the shirts. That's crazy. This HerGRAILS shirt you don't see. I don't sell anything. Okay, I cannot.
Listen.
If please somebody teach me. If you're out there, teach me because I cannot do merch. It's not. I know my faults. I don't know how people do that. Oh, sorry. I think someone's calling me. How do I end it? Send a voicemail. Okay. Did I do it? Okay.
Yeah,
sorry, I thought I put it on Do Not Disturb. But again, I know people that hire people to do that, which again, I think if you don't, what's hard for you, you have to hire. And I think in the end, it does end up, for my sanity, I think also you could have, like we talked about, having time to think about other stuff or do other stuff. I still pick up stuff. I had to go pick up cookies for an event. If you're in Houston, I had to go way to Katy for stuff. I shouldn't have to be doing that.
Yeah.
And somebody's like, well, just call Uber and have them. And I'm like, okay, maybe. But then I'm like, man, I'm one of those people like, if I do it, I know it's going to get done.
Yep.
100%, right?
Yep.
So that's why, I'm still work in progress, y'all. Pray for me because I'm still trying to give up the reins. I'm trying to find help. I've done a lot better this year, but that's the hardest part, man, wearing the hats and delegating. And I guess receiving help. Because I have people that offer help, but I'm like, nah. They'll be like, I'll bring ice. No, you won't. I'm going to bring the ice because I know it's going to be there.
Now, you got to let them bring the ice now. You got to let them bring the ice. Out of all things, the ice, they can bring ice, the food, because the ice.
We need the ice, bro.
Ice is important, but, we got to let other people get the ice,
No, that's hard.
I think I understand completely, like you said, nobody's going to love your project how you would love it. Nobody, and it's some of the smallest details, maybe somebody brought the wrong napkins or the wrong cups,
oh my God, exactly,
small stuff, but it's small, like, and most people that you might think is super important, but other people, they're like, oh, okay, it's just a napkin, you know what I'm saying? Like,
nail on the head.
You gotta
every time,
and we gotta
every time.
I mean, I think we apply a lot of stress on ourselves, just overthinking and things of that nature, but I think that's how we become great, because we do pay attention to those small details and minor things, and you just gotta get the right people that understand you. Like, oh, she's not gonna like this, what I'm saying? We gotta make sure we got the right stuff because we want everything to run smoothly, and I think that's super important. So, Tausha, believe it or not, we've been talking for over an hour now.
I know this was great conversation.
Yeah, and it's going super fast. I like to be respectful of people's time because I don't want to keep them on here all night, but. What I do want to ask is, because we're talking to the younger generation, last thing, how can someone create something, like they want to get into events, they want to get into creative spaces where it's their niche, but then they want to start doing the event side, they want to funding. I mean, that's a whole conversation in itself, but just give me something small that can help someone kind of just generate an idea on where to start. How can they create their own space?
Yeah, absolutely. I think definitely having a niche is important, or not a niche, but what separates you from any other company? So I say that all the time. People are like, I want to open a sneaker store. Okay, what separates you from the 20 that we already have? So that's important. You have to really define why is your business different and that's totally fine, right? I didn't invent female sneaker events.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I didn't invent female sneaker platforms. But my niche is different. We have these events that are tailored towards women, and we're consistent. It's another thing. Please be consistent. That's super huge. Mm-hmm. Also, I think my biggest advice is go to other events. Yeah. So whatever you're into, we don't have to just say events, but if you're go to whatever you're into and do market research. I go to events all the time. Any event. It don't have to be a sneaker event. I'll go to women's events. I'll go to pop-ups, vintage flea market. It all correlates. Yeah. See what other people are doing. Man, it's called market research. What's trending? What is cool now? What backdrops do people use? What balloons are cool? Displays. Yeah. That you get creativity from that, and you get market research from that. And then again, the connects. Be like, who did your balloons? Do you have their card? Thanks. Love them. Yeah. Boom. My event's next month. Hey, I saw your balloons here. Yeah. Woo, woo, woo. Please go to whatever you do. Again, if you're into music, we'll go to these concerts. Go to these music pop-ups. Right. Go to these small performances. Go to these whatever anything. You know what I mean? I think that's important. You need to be in the space that you want to be in. You know, and I think especially with Houston and particularly entrepreneurship, people want to see who you are. We're a very social city. So they want to see who's behind the brand, and are you a jerk? Or are you cool?
Are you stand up? What you portray?
Man, absolutely. And so I think, being seen, people love to meet you in person. Cool, I can talk about HerGRAILS all day in an email. No one will ever get this energy and understand the passion and, come to my event and see. Right. So that's my best advice. Absolutely. Go to these events or go to whatever. Go to, or go take an online class that's, let's say photography. Take an online photography class. I know they do photography meetups. Go to a photography meetup. Have coffee with the photographer you like. Yeah. Go to a museum. I mean, it sounds simple, but people really don't be getting it. Like, they're like, no, that is vital to my success. And I think anyone's. You making sure you see what other people are doing, maybe even in different industries, but specifically yours. Got it. If you want to be in this industry, you need to see what other people are doing. You need to do your research. Yep. And your homework.
I love it. That's a huge nugget. Man, like I said, this conversation can go on and on. What's great though is that you are in Houston, so I really, like I said, if there's anything that we could do, Big Boss Talk, if we could do anything for, HerGRAILS, if you got an event coming up, we would love to. Like, obviously, we're gonna follow you. We already follow you on Instagram, but I don't want to make this feel like I hate having a conversation and think like it's transactional. Like, nah, right. I'm here to support everybody that comes on the show. So like for me, any guests, if they got something going on, I'm always sharing the reel, sharing, whatever it is. So I want to be able to do that for HerGRAILS as well. So we'll always be looking at the page, liking, and if we see any flyers like the ball, if there's a flyer out there for that, we would love to just pop it up there and just let people know that these are the things that go on. Obviously, if you miss it this round, hopefully let's see if, you can make it the next round. But just, we want to help each other. Like I said,
I appreciate that.
I would love to come to an event, any co-ed event that you do have coming up. So I'll be on the lookout for the next one.
Great. I appreciate that. We need male allies. So I appreciate you having me on, man. Yeah. And same, likewise, I could definitely recommend some people for you. Or again, if you want to go to any other event, man, I'm definitely more than welcome to have you out to our co-ed events.
Well, let's do it. So that's the last thing is the recommendations. Do you have one off the top of your head? Because I know I can email you and then you can send me a lot through email. We take as many as you like. I just reach out to any and everybody. But do you have one that comes to the top of your head?
Of course. I was just with him the other day, Yrs Small. I don't know if you know him. He works, he does a lot. He's really a big boss. And he's also been an ally for me. I've known him almost just as long as I've lived in this city. He does Reading with the Rapper, Legends Do Live, plethora of other entities. Now, he will really talk to you about the business side. Now, he got companies, okay? And it's a nonprofit. And so I think Yrs Small, man, I look up to him. That's my brother. Again, another guy I can call on and be like, hey, should I ask for this? Should I do this? Yep. Who's your attorney? Man, I think Yrs Small, if you can, he's very busy right now, but if you can catch that, I think he's one of the greatest guys in Houston. So I think you would really, really enjoy a good conversation with him. Another Black man doing big things for the community, man. He was just in LA, so catch him while you still can.
That's awesome. I'm gonna do that. All I ask is if you can send me an email of his email, Instagram link, or whatever it is,
Absolutely.
how I can reach him. I'll do that. But thank you so much. I had a great time. I can't wait for this episode to come out and continue to do great things with HerGRAILS, because I know it's gonna take off. You know, I love Houston. I love shoes.
Yes,
it's super dope.
I love it.
It's super dope.
Man, I appreciate your time. I love this conversation. Yes, let's link up, man. And again, tell your wife. I don't know if she's sneakerhead, but get her some shoes.
We trying to get her into the culture. I gotta. But the crazy thing about it is I buy shoes and then she gonna wear them.
She gonna wear them now. Tell her she coming to my next event.
I got you.
So we're gonna get her there. So okay. I love it. Listen, I love having women that are not sneakerheads come to my event. That's like my highlight. So please,
we'll do it.
Yes, it was great meeting you.
Thank you.
And yes, let me know if you need anything else, and then let me know when it drops. I'll be glad to share it with everybody.
Awesome, man. You have a good night. Okay.
You too. Thanks.
All right. Bye bye.